Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Danny. We're reacting to what we've just witnessed, a quite destructive and an absolutely incredible performance from Jai Opetaia as he stops David NYIKA in round four. Before we get into it, I do, this is an instant reaction. It looked like NYIKA was in a bad way, so we do hope, obviously, he is all good and recovers. But it was a quite a chilling knockout, Danny, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, mate. It was scary. I think just as you sent me the link, David Nika seemed to be getting back to his feet, and first glance seems to be all right, which is obviously the main thing. But yeah, scary knockout. I mean, especially when you saw the replay of it, he was borderline defenseless for that shot, like a fully fledged left hook from Jai Opetaia is not something any human being should be taking. So, yeah, fingers crossed there's no long lasting damage. But up until that point, I know it was only the fourth round, David Nika had been given a decent account of himself, had more than his moments of success, but once Opetaia scored that knockdown, he's got the eye of the tiger, he's got that killer instinct, and certainly didn't let him off the hook.
Yeah, mate, you summed it up brilliantly there, I think. Nika was definitely in the fight. I think. Sorry, to put it this way, from the get-go, it looked like there was a level between the two. But that's not to say that Nika didn't have his moments. Was at the end of the second, he might have even potentially wobbled up Opetaia himself. He definitely had a bit of success, like when he was using his range. But I mean, like you have to be punch perfect for not even you can't lapse the concentration for even a second against Jai Opetaia. He is frighteningly good, mate. We'll come on to a wee second, maybe what we want to see him do next. But like David Niga in his own right in a few years' time might be able to come again and win a world title to cruiserweight. But for as long as Jai Opetaia is there, like they steer clear. If I was a cruiserweight, uh, I'd maybe say something different on cameras. But if I was a cruiserweight sitting watching that, I'd be going, "Oh no, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. You're going to have to pay me very, very well to get in the ring with Jai Opetaia." Absolutely incredible, mate. I think, as you mentioned there, the knockdown in the fourth, having success before that, obviously, the body and head. I think it was a southpaw right hook initially wobbled him, put him down, and then, as you mentioned, it was like a left hook and then defensive like left hook come uppercut that just absolutely folded him to the ground. And I mean, yeah, quite an incredible knockout. Just before we come on to what's next, do you make that Jai Opetaia's most devastating one? Or are you looking back at like the Ellis Zorro one? Do you still think that one was potentially better?
Both like two of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen. Um, Probably just the Zorro one, I would say, which is mad to say because that one there was pretty horrifying as well. But yeah, as you say, like I know fighters will all back themselves, but surely you're watching that thinking, don't know if I need that in my life. But I would say the Zorro one's probably his most devastating, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously as fans, we're selfish. We want to see all of the best fighters fighting the fellow best fighters. So that at cruiserweight with Jai Opetaia, that's him against the likes of Gilberto Ramirez. Don't know what the crack is with the WBC, whether Badou Jack's been reinstated or if it's Noel Malickton still has that belt. All Owen Smith's obviously just lost to Gilberto Ramirez, but these are the names that you want to see, the only names you want to see Jai Opetaia in with now. I think obviously this was a fairly late replacement. I know he was meant to fight someone else. Opetaia was probably actually a better replacement. Some people were saying David Niga is a good fighter. You can tell that. And I do think he will come again, but I mean, different kettle of fish, Jai Opetaia. We may as well talk about it now, mate, because I can't really dance around it too much. But like, does anyone? I know. There's a separate video going live on the channel as well. We are going to talk about perhaps whether Jai Opetaia is unbeatable, but like 2025, with Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh and stuff, it looks like the Gilberto Ramirez fight could happen. The unification is probably the two best in the world. Is that a fight you want to see? If that a fight you think will happen, and if so, how do you see it going?
We'll see that fight. I think it's a brilliant fight. I think Gilberto Ramirez was brilliant against Chris Smith. Gave him a bit of a pacing, to be honest. Definitely the toughest fight at cruiserweight for Jai Opetaia. I would make Opetaia a favourite, but I think it wouldn't be like the Zorro, Jordan Thompson, or even like what we saw tonight, I think it would go later into the fight and be more competitive. I would make Opetaia a favourite, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Aside from that, I mean, you mentioned the WBC situation. I think we would all agree the winner of Opetaia versus Ramirez is the number one at cruiserweight. So I've got no real interest in seeing any other fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I echo those sentiments. I think no matter who you put Jai Opetaia in with, well, unless he was to move up to heavyweight, but that's another conversation. But for cruiserweight, no matter who you're putting opposite him, you could probably put four men in the corner at once and probably still have Jai Opetaia as the favourite, to be honest. I would make him a favourite against Zerto as well. In saying that, you're right. Zerto looked very good last time out, I think, against Chris Smith. Probably in hindsight, a horrible style for CBS. But at the same time, he did what he had to do and he was great. Zerto, to be fair to him, again, a style that could pose a lot of threats for Opetaia. But I like you, mate. I ultimately see Opetaia probably getting the job done there. I think he would. I think he would. It's hard to say. It's hard to look past the Opetaia knockout in there almost every time he fights now as well. To be honest, especially after you see that, like the angles he comes out as well is the southpaw stance, the body and head. As I mentioned, the angles, the hook, the straight shots, the jab, even. It's just everything looks so crisp and perfect. And yeah, I would make him a favorite to beat Gilberto Ramirez as well. Would you, if that fight was happening tomorrow, based on, I say that fight happens next, do you think it's the stoppage for Jai Opetaia, or do you think that maybe it could go the distance?
I think first 6, 7 rounds would probably be tough for Ramirez. Um, I would back him to be a potentially fitter fighter than Opetaia. So I think if he does make it into the second half, he'd have more success. I would go Opetaia points, I think.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe an unfair question to push you on that one. We've just witnessed that, but like, I don't know. Again, I don't know whether it's recency bias, but I just look at that and think, mate, he stops him. Because again, I don't know if we haven't really seen Gilberto Ramirez up a cruiserweight anyway, properly hitting the chin, and Jai Bata is clearly a ferocious puncher. So yeah, that's a fight. I hope we see next, mate. And you know what? I can see it happen. I'm sure you're the same. Like with the whole Riyadh season thing and
I
the
know,
best
but
fighting the best. And obviously, you know the fact that Gilberto Ramirez's last fight against CBS was also a Riyadh season card. You know, you kind of think, and Opetaia obviously has a great relationship. You're thinking that fight can definitely happen. I hope it does happen. It's one of the best fights in, say we're obviously getting the Beterbiev Bivol rematch. We've had the Fury Usyk fight twice. That's probably now up in the top level of, at cruiserweight, heavyweight, light heavyweight, those top divisions. You know, it's Opetaia Zerto now is a fight that I think, yeah, we have to see. And hopefully 2025 is the year that we get it because I, for one, cannot wait for that. And yeah, I suppose I could say that about every time Jai Opetaia fights, which is mad to think that like 2 years ago, not very many people even knew who he was. And now he's the man on everyone's lips, and he is without doubt, if not the best, the top two cruiserweights in the world. But yeah, another chilling knockout of David NYIKA. Hope he's all okay. Okay, obviously, as you mentioned, he getting to his feet there. So hope everything's all good with him. He can come again. But yeah, another outstanding, emphatic performance from Jai Bataia. Let us know in the comments, guys, how you think Jai Bataia fares in that unification against Gilberto Ramirez or any other fights at cruiserweight you want to see him. Do you want to see him go up to heavyweight? Let us know. Please do drop a like in the video and hit that subscribe button on the channel. Danny, thanks very much for joining me again, mate, and I'll speak to you again soon.